Hey guys, I'm going to be talking to you about today what exactly is a synthesizer. Now, synthesizer is the body of a piano with in the back either has plugs or switches, or today it really doesn't have any of that. It's just the piano itself with buttons on it. And it can be changed by the plugs and switches or software and plugins that are used in today's, but I'll be getting to that later. This instrument uses unique waveforms to change the way that the sound is played. So it either has like a sharp sine wave where it goes up and has a short decay, or it could go into a waveform where it's just like a pulsating sound that's just kind of going across like in a wave. And it uses that to modulate and to alter the sounds in very unique ways. Where did this all come from? Well, it came from an invention from a man by the name of Robert Martianot, who in World War I invented something called the vocoder. And what the vocoder did was it deciphered and sent out messages to Allied soldiers in a unique way that it was very hard for the enemies to pick up on it. And because it was just so unique, like no one really would think that this device would be sending messages out like a telegraph. And how it worked was it was vibrating tubes inside it that once vibrated would send out a unique sound, and thus you would create the message and whatnot, deciphers or whatever. But obviously then it wasn't used as an instrument, it was used as a way of communicating with other people. So it took a long time for it to come back and hit the States, and when it did, people saw it and began to change the way that it worked to make it more like an instrument, but nothing really got picked up or anything. People weren't really impressed by the design of it or anything until about the 1960s, where a young 19-year-old by the name of Robert Moog had came about and took the design of it to a whole new level. What he did was he brought in a device called the theremin, which was, like I said, one of those unique tweaks of the vocoder. And he had taken it and taken some of the circuit boards out of it and modulated it, like I said, and it allowed the user then to create the sound that they wanted through engineering of the device itself. And people saw this and they wanted to quickly pick up on it and make it slightly more user-friendly, that they could sell this device itself and people would be able to create the sound that this device was giving out even better. And thus, the synthesizer that we all know was born. And in the 1960s, what it was, like I said, body of a piano, and in the back it had about, I would say, maybe 30 to 40 plugs and switches that you could change with it. If you want to plug something in or plug something out, you were able to, and it would modulate the waveform, like I said earlier, with the sound and create your own unique sound with it. And not everybody could do it because it did take some engineering specialties with it. So like either you knew how to do it or you just stuck to a regular piano really at the time when it first came out. But a band quickly wanted to try this out and see the unique sound, and that band was called the Monkees. When they first had bought it and made us hit with it, it was a #1 single that they put out with it, and from that moment on, bands quickly picked up on it, and every band around that time was using a synthesizer. Bands like The Doors, Pink Floyd, Brian Eno, all these people quickly hit the markets with the synths, and they created some of the most ingenious and some of the most unique sounds that we had ever heard thanks to this instrument. And what Robert Moog had did then was he set in place a device that was going to be used in many years to come. I'm talking it came out in the 60s. It was used in, I would say, 80% of the bands in the 60s, used heavily in the 70s, 80s, and around the 90s, it kind of became just like an instrument. But in that time, it was a staple instrument. You couldn't think of a band, you couldn't think of a song really without having this electronic sound coming from it that came from a synthesizer, that the ability to change the way that you played on the spot with just plugging and everything when you knew what you were doing, it was incredible, and bands love this. I mean, you're able to create 1,000,001 sound from one instrument itself, not through pedals, not through any stuff like that through just what you want to curate your sound to, you were able to at that moment. And like I said, how he had made the staple instrument in the coming age of the digital instrumentations that we are now seeing now, much like the piano behind me. He paved the way for all those instruments, and I believe that they all take his design and they still implement it today. The digital age is a very unique, very interesting with instrumentation. There's really no more plugging and swapping of circuits and switches because the pianos themselves kind of do it now. A synth like the one behind me, all you have to do to change the waveforms is just a simple press of the button, and there you go. You have it there. There's no expertise that's needed. The piano does it for you essentially. And softwares allow you for having a whole plethora of sounds that you can have on board without, like I said, tinkering with all the wires and switches and whatnot. Like I said, the new synth that was born in the digital age actually was like, they're still using synths today, and they're electronic, and you have to plug them into amps and whatnot, but they're more easy to use. However, there is an even easier instrument that was born, I would say, is the son of the synth, and that is called a MIDI keyboard. Now, what a MIDI keyboard is exactly is you have a MIDI in and a USB out, and you plug it into the keyboard, the MIDI in, and you plug the USB out just into any computer that you want, and it miraculously doesn't play right away, but once you hook up software to it, you have endless amounts of sounds. You could replicate the 60s synth. You could even replicate digitally the plug-in and the switching as if you had that 60s synth. It's just incredible where like this instrument had came from the beginning. I mean, like, you can have those plugins and switch, or you could go, you play a guitar on it, you play a violin, you play a grand piano from it, and the sounds from it are so crisp, so good. So many people I know in bands, and myself included, use this instrument, and it's so easy to make music with it because of the sounds it holsters inside of it. I mean, like, it's just incredible. And it's even crazier to think of where it came from originally. The synthesizer itself was one of the most unique instruments of its time, and like I said, it's a rather newer instrument, and since it came out in the 1960s, I mean, you think of guitars, pianos, and drums and everything, they have been around for ages, and this has been around for only a few decades. I mean, it changed music forever with it. Like I said before, you couldn't listen to a single band in the 60s without hearing a synthesizer most likely in it. I mean, it was a staple of the time. It really was. And where synthesizers allowed music to come today with MIDI keyboards, I mean, it's so hard to think about where music would be if not for synthesizers. I mean, they really impacted music in such a positive and diverse kind of way. A song that I like to kind of bring up for the sound that a synthesizer really gave a decade was definitely Welcome to the Machine by Pink Floyd. This song just kind of like, it's hard to listen to and not imagine a synthesizer in it. I mean, it wouldn't be the song that I know and love and everything. It's such an interesting way of creating music, that you're able to make the sound yourself. And I mean, every band was able to, Pink Floyd could have their synthesizer hooked up one way, the Doors have it the another way, I had mine my own way, and all three of those sounds are going to sound unique, different, and all still sound so clean because of the instrument itself was just so beautifully created in ways that just, no matter what the artist wanted, the artist would get the sound that they needed from this instrument. And it just it's incredible to think of where it all had came and where it is now. I personally appreciate Robert Moog immensely, and I'm very happy that I was able to tell you guys a little bit about this instrument, because like I said, it's a staple in music, and I really would like if you would to go listen to music from maybe the 60s, just to, because like I said, now people use MIDI keyboards and it's a little harder to tell the sound coming from that, but I'd like you to go back and listen to a song, maybe Welcome to the Machine even, and just hear that beautiful synth and just really know that this sound was truly next stage. Thank you for hearing my presentation on synthesizers.